Welcome everybody. We're quite happy to see so many people here today. I don't know, honestly I can't know what Lalina said. I will just probably repeat myself, but I would like to introduce us. I'll start with myself. I'm Camilla. I'm curator, and I work specifically on intersection between arts and sciences. And here we have the dream team. You have Elena, the performer. We have Luca, who is an IT engineer and co-founder of the studio Fuse. And we have Matteo, who is a computer scientist. Right? Yes. Okay. Fuse is a studio based in Italy, in Modena, and is also a production company that operates at the intersection between arts, sciences, and they have a very specific approach to the use of digital technology, because they focus on the expressive potential offered by the creative use of all emerging technologies. So the studio was funded over 10 years ago, in 2007. And well, I think it's better if it's Luca directly tell me more about it.
Thank you. Hello. The idea of founding Fuse comes from a very essential desire of me and Mattia, the co-founder, to combine our passion for the visual arts, the music and the technology, and make sure we can live doing what we love. And with these guidelines, we are here now, and we presented Dökk yesterday in Turkey for the first time. We are very happy, thanks to Digilogue. And yes, we presented Dökk together with Elena Novi, our dancer. And yes, we celebrate last year our 10th birthday, and yes, we have a short video that where you can see our workspace in Italy also, and the party for celebrating 10 years. Light off, please.
Finito, no? No. Okay. Yay.
Okay. You had just seen our headquarters in Italy, in Campogalliano, close a little town close to Modena. And here where we work with our team. We are 10 people now. And yeah, we create our production like Dökk, as somebody yesterday saw, attend. And other work, other projects, installation and other stuff. And here we have another short video, 1 minute video, that you can see some other works.
Ever since the outset, the studio research has focused primarily on creating profound audience engagement, searching for new languages that might heighten the emotional impact of the new radio. Fuse valorizes pure experimentation and an empirical approach to the creative process, pushing back the limits and seek out new interplay between light, space, sound, and movement. Dökk is an Icelandic word that means darkness.
Okay, let's talk about Dökk. Do you want to introduce something, Camilla?
How many of you were here yesterday evening and saw Dökk? Okay, well, there's quite a few hands. Very, very good. Happy to see that. Dökk is an extremely complex show, and we're going to try to unfold for you all the levels of this live media opera. The idea is that we're going to try to explore it from the point of view of the digital technology as well as the experience of the performers, so the human experience of a live body on stage, and how these two elements interact and respond to each other, building up the over 50 minutes of the performance. So let's start digging into it. Luca, you want to?
Okay, Dökk is a live media performance based on real-time interaction between the movement of a dancer, some generative graphics, sound, and sentiment analysis of content shared on social networks. The digital landscapes through which the narrative unfolds are visual metaphors of our universe, designed to try to portray the perception of reality in the subconscious mind. Dökk, as the video said, is an Icelandic word that means darkness. In some cultures, the absence of light may be interpreted as a metaphor for life on Earth, and the perception of reality represented as a shadow cast by a light that cannot be seen yet, the existence of which may be only sensed. Starting out from this concept, the narrative was developed through the creation of 10 rooms that make up a circular path in which the end coincides with a new beginning. The Italian term stanza, room in English, may reflect some meanings, 3 meanings. It could be a well-defined physical space that isolates us from the outside world. Could be also imagined as a mental space inside which to construct our own vision of reality. Or in literature field, it refers to a verse of a longer poem. And the rooms of Dökk are the result of the coming together of these 3 meanings in a single form of symbolism that accompanies the whole narrative. Inside this place of the mind, universes are constructed to evoke the various stages of life. The stage becomes a space in which it is possible to lose one's perceptions of space, both space and time. The stage becomes a place of the mind in which reality is reconstructed as the result of one's own actions, and in which every gesture has its own particular consequence, because all the visual are, as I said, real-time created by the software. In the video that is about to start, we focus on the concept, on an image sequence that want to tell you more about what's inside Dökk.
Everything that surrounds us is nothing but a collection of atoms, particles, and electromagnetic fields, vibrating without any apparent meaning. And when these impulses are interpreted by our mind, they become colors, tastes, music, memories, and emotions. The foundations of what each one of us perceives as reality. Dökk is a journey through the subconscious mind. Where reality is represented by words and universes that they form themselves within the mind. As it constantly seeks a balance between light and darkness.
So let's move on. What I'm pretty sure it's must have been the complex, the most complex challenge in the creation of Dökk. So the real-time data acquisition. There has been, I mean, you worked with various type of data in real time. Please tell us.
Okay, yes, as Camilla said, we start creating Dökk from previous experience. We came from Lios, that is the first show of a trilogy. Dökk is the second. So we have we already had some experience in real-time interaction between digital part and the body of the dancer, because Lios is a show with Elena. Nothing. We start trying to create something complex respect of Lios, the first performance, and so we try to understand which kind of data we want to use, and at the end we found a lot of external source and select them. Sorry. Yes. This choice is done because we want to create something that is different in every time the show is performed, and that reflect what happened in the world on the stage, on the attendant in that precise moment. So something always different. In this slide, we have summarized the main data source that we use in our show. Through Twitter, we discover what we like to call the word global emotion. With the Kinect camera, where the system reacts with the image captured by the camera of the dancer, of the silhouette of the dancer. We catch the dancer heartbeat to make it resonate in the audience at some moments of the show, at the beginning, in the middle, at the end. With another Kinect camera, we triangulate data to keep the hands movement that Elena makes during the first part of the show, touching the ghost screen, the layer, the visual layer that she has in front. We use, as always, because we came from many works of a great synesthesia between video and audio, so we works also in Dökk in this direction, so the visual part are strictly connected with the audio part of the sound. Finally, we use a motion tracking suite to detect every movement of every joint of Elena, of the skeleton, let's go, of Elena, in every moment of the show. We can go a little bit deep in every source, because I think it's interesting. For the sentiment analysis, we would like to take something of the external world, of the people not only on the stage as the dancer, create a connection, and try to take inside the theater where the show is performed the global emotion of the world. And thinking about this aim, we find that social networks are the right reply to this question. So we find that Twitter, in particular, could give us this data, this global emotion, by the analysis of the tweets that people shared on the social. We find that Paul Ekman, that is a psychologist, divide the global emotion, the big six, in happiness, sadness, fear, surprise, anger, and disgust. And we also find that there's free online, an open source library of Euros Kradinak et al. That is specifically created to analyze short phrases. So it works very well with tweets. And we apply this library in our software. And so, starting from Twitter, we get the predominant emotion of every tweet. In every show, we analyze something like 10, 12 tweets per second. So at the end of the show, we analyze 5,000 tweets, more or less. For now, only English, because we are, for the future, we are starting to develop our own AI system to identify the main emotion inside the tweet, training an artificial neural network with a data set of classified tweets. And doing this, we can do it in English, but also in other languages. And trying to build a good system to predict the word global emotion and use it in Dökk. But this is the future, not now. Yes, in Dökk we translate the main emotion in a shade of red. Based this operation on the, as you can see, the body heat graphic. You can see that based on the emotion, you have a part of your body that it's up, and depending of how much part of your body it's up, the shade of red become brighter or darker. So more heat, more happiness, more heat, more red will be used in Dökk. Here there's an example of what happened in Dökk in, I think, in room number 3. You have an example of happiness predominance in top left. It is more brighter. Fear top right, anger bottom left, and sadness bottom right. Usually we discover that, yes. Sorry?
Anger is quite bright too.
Yeah, because it's not, your body with anger become it. fortunately, we discovered that on theater, usually we have more happiness, because could be so sad to see Dökk with this dark shade of red. But yes, cool. Okay. This is the stage plan, top view, where you can see that we work with the 2 layers projection, one in front of the dancer, one in the back. The front projection are in reality is 2 cross projection, because we need to avoid to project on the back screen. So crossing the projector, we reach this result. And we want to create this sphere that you see in the middle is a 3D space, the representation of the 3D space that we use. And to create this effect of a real 3D digital environment, we create an imaginary line at the middle of the stage where Elena dances, and split the position based on the position on this virtual 3D space between front screen and back screen. So we cut the 3D space, virtual 3D space, splitting in 2 layers. From the audience, the result is that Elena is completely immersed inside this space, and the impression is a pretty good 3D visualization. Another key element of Dökk is the analysis of the heartbeat of the dancer. We'd like to connect the people, the audience, with Elena, with the dancer, before the starting of the show. If somebody came yesterday night, maybe remember that when they entered the audience, the room, yes, before the show starts, there's already the heartbeat in background of the dancer. So probably it's not something that everybody notices, but you are already connected with the dancer before the show starts. And this is something that it's an important aim for us. This because the heart is the first organ that is formed when a new life is born, and is the last to stop when it ends. So it's the right organ that can accompany our show, because our show starts from the beginning of a life to the end. In the same way, the beginning and the end of Dökk are marked as by the real heartbeat of the performer, acquired through a heart rate sensor that transmits information via Bluetooth to an ad hoc software, which in turn processes and sends the necessary data via network messages to the main computer that react to this, generate audio, generate other stuff. From the start of the journey to the last room, the real-time analysis of the heart rate is connected also to a blinking start. We use the imaginary of universe in Dökk, and we choose a particular star that is the only one colored in red, is a blinking star, and this star is always present during all the show. Is super little, is just a little secret. Nobody notices it probably, but it blinked with the heart of the dancer all the time. And this connection, this pulsation of the star, was suggested by the idea that not we, but NASA probably discover an existence of a group of binary stars that rotate around each other and create a sort of diagram in the spectrogram that is very similar to an electrocardiogram of a human body. So the connection is super interesting for us. We put in Dökk. Yes, and we choose the right position of coordinates of the stars in our universe.
So there is a correlation between this couple of binary stars and the position of the twinkling little light that is a bit hidden in the universe of Dökk. Okay, and how I think it would be very interesting to hear from Elena. Your side of it. So you were there. You have you build a relationship with the space that is in constant dialogue. It's your body that is there. That is it's your own heartbeat that is captured and re-represented and reproduced. So you experience from the inside. All these layers, and you really are a bit the object of study that is displayed, that is just there for the audience. So tell us about it, please.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm sorry for my English, but I try to explain something. So for me, Dökk is a very extreme experience. Extreme experience because the important word is connection. I really try to connect myself with the universe, with the audience, with the energy, my energy, and in any time Dökk is a different experience for me because I'm different. Tomorrow probably in Tbilisi I'm a different person, and so it's a very strong experience. And yes, Dökk is a circle, and for me it's a very interesting and a good opportunity to discover my body with the technology, because the technology is a good instrument in one time, but not good in another, because so I can touch the empty space really, because with the technology I can move every part of the space around of me, and so I can listen the space in a different mode. But is very, for me, is frustrated. Yeah, frustrated. In when we had started working with Dökk, this is a gabbia, cage. Okay, yes, it's a cage, because okay, you can do it, but you can do it. You can walk all in a little part, and so. But now I have fight with the technology, and I'm a winner. And so no, it's a very strange experience, and for me it's very emotional to have a sensor for my heart, because when the people come in the audience room, I can really connect it with the audience, and for me it's very important because the show is not only mine, but it's all the people that stay with me, my friends and the audience, and so that's good. Okay.
Talking about the possibility of movement of Elena, we can talk about the body tracking suit that we use, because the interaction between choreography and the scene elements represents one of the focal point of the project. From the beginning, the goal was to communicate a sense of union and synchronicity between the digital and the body components. So we found this kind of motion tracking suit called perception neuron. The system is characterized by 18 accelerometer positioned directly on the body of the performer. These sensors communicate with a USB antenna connected to a computer on the stage, and then the information are sent to the main computer on the front of house console table. This permits us to have a real-time tracking of every movement of Elena, and yes, I think more or less in some scene, in some room more, in some scene less, but the interaction is super clear in every rooms.
The interaction between dialogue between Elena and the projection is constant, and it's almost like she's not alone on stage. It's like there is a constant, it's like almost a dance between a human body and light, and something that is absolutely without, doesn't have a matter, but it's just a universe. How is it this aspect for you?
Yes, there is a particular point that is a point of sound interactive time when I'm on air in a bubble. I don't know if you remember the people that yesterday in the theater, and for me is very interesting because I can play music with the sound, the noise in the empty space. No, I can touch and sound, and so in any time is in real time. So the line is very little because now we are in Unico. Yes, we are in a only universe. No, I can dance with the technology dance with me, and so it's very difficult to answer your question because now is in one holy universe, and we can, yeah, it's difficult.
If I'm correct, we have a video about these, the video in sound interaction, and that's, yeah, that's very interesting.
This is Riccardo, that is our sound designer, that composed all the music and sounds inside the Dökk and every installation that we made.
It is a good play. I recommended you to try it.
Yes, every time the show starts, before the starting, we need to calibrate this motion tracking suit because needs a calibration because every time the sensor could be in a different place a little bit. So yes, every time the show starts, there's a procedure that we had to complete, because we need to check camera, check sensor, check a lot of stuff. But every time all works.
So all these checks serve the only purpose of data analysis and render, which is it's basically the whole structure of Dökk is based on this series of metaphors between the universe and the laws of universe and the physics of the universe in which we live in parallel to our human life and the human experiences. What does it mean as a human being to live, to grow, to be born, to grow and to die in this universe, which is of course a very personal experience, but we all go through certain major milestones, and that are the things that allow us to connect individually as human beings. So there is this constant parallelism between the infinitely big of the universe and the infinitely small of just one single human life, which is a blink in the history of the universe itself. So tell us about these data analysis.
Okay, yes. In Dökk, the universe visualization is a metaphor we use to represent everything exists, everything. So starting from this imaginary of universe, we start looking for data that we can use to represent the universe. So we found a database of Redshift survey on internet. It's our open data database. It's something like that. Then yes, we use this big table, big database that represent the various parameters of each stars. Each column represents a data like right ascension and declination, that are the two angles that describe where a star is in the sky. And then there's another parameter that is called the redshift, that is used to calculate, once you have the position, the distance of the stars. And using this, mainly these three parameters, but not only this, we create a representation like this, that is a two-sector representation. Seems to be symmetric, but obviously is not. The result is in two empty zones, north and south. That is not a real place where no stars are positioned, but is a problem of observation, because in this area, the Milky Way that surrounds us block the possibility to see what are next, yes, further. So the representation is, it's not complete, but for observation problem that we have from the Earth. Yes, we have here a short clip of our first test of what happened rotating this universe that we create. Yeah, we start with this and create the first 3 rooms of Dökk.
The area, just to be clear, the area where we don't see any stars is because it's the section of where the Milky Way is, and it stops the views from the outside.
Yes, yes, in this area, this north and south. And in this part of Dökk, we use this kind of visualization that is the real observation of the universe. So you can find famous point in this, like the Great Wall, this white vertical cluster of stars, of galaxy. Yeah, this is the real reservation, so it's the photography of the universe as it is now. Because in the second part of Dökk, we changed the visualization, but I talk it later. In the first part of the show, we combine this visualization of the universe that represent everything exists with something that we want to represent that is called celestial openness. To represent this metaphor, we use this fluid simulation. Celestial openness happens in the very first moment of life. It's a state of mind during which our mind does not apply any filter on the big amount of information it meets. So the metaphor consists in a high-speed flow of particles that interact with the dancer. To create this this metaphor, we use this equation, Navier-Stokes equation, that permit us to recreate the behavior of a fluid, a fluid of particles, in our case, that go through the front screen from left to right, and when Elena put her hand on the screen, the particles are interact with her. So the metaphor was reproduced. Yes, the behavior of this fluid are represented here. This is a represent the fields line of the flow simulation. You can see, yeah, the arrow of the mouse that move an area, and the field move according to the movement of this arrow. And based on this field of line, a field of velocity, we create this simulation that is the very first part of Dökk, with this white particle, fast particle. Yes, this is what happened when Elena put her hand on the front screen. Ok, qualcosa da dire? Ok.
Yeah, so, from all this, you move to, this is it's here in the slide, is about neural network, is another layer of what we were saying about these metaphors between the outside, the inside, and of the human experience. So, and here you made an analogy, you actually based yourself on studies on something that is not human at all, on ants, right?
Yes, we after showing the universe and so everything exists around us, we want to focus in the central part of Dökk in what happened inside our mind. So inside the mind for us is represented by a neural network, and we start to find something similar to represent a neural network. We find something completely different, but that was very similar aesthetically to what happened inside our mind. It is stigmergy. Stigmergy is a mechanism of indirect coordination through the environment between agents. Is a system used by ants. Ants exchange information by laying down pheromones, the trace, on their way back to the nest when they have found the food. In this way, they collectively develop a complex network of traces connecting the nest in an efficient way to various food sources. What happened is, as I said, a network of traces. This network of traces, you can see white, the particles, and the red, the pheromone trace. The particles move according to the trace that the particles release. Not release, release, sorry. and in this movement create this kind of visualization that was a two-dimensional map of pheromone trace, and is pretty similar of what we want to create, but we need another step because we want not a two-dimensional map, but a three-dimensional map, because Dökk was a three-dimensional space. So we multiplied this two-dimensional map many times and create a sort of 3D map of our system. In this video, you can see with the layer with a little space between each layers, the pheromone trace moving not only in 2 dimensions, but also in the depth, jumping between different layers. So the movement is on not only in each layer, but jump the pheromone trace jump between the depth layer. And what will happen in after this process is represented by this visualization. That is, yeah, a metaphor of what we have in mind thinking about our brain, our neural network. Here, there's some test that we did thinking about the room number 6, where there's also the strobo effect on Elena. And this is a speedy evolution of what could happen inside the brain. This is another example.
After all this example of universe representation, I decided to take the next step and enter universe simulation, which it's a bit like the last missing part to close this circle of observation and experience through the whole journey of Dökk. So.
Yes, after analyzing what happened inside the mind, we want to come back to a big scale visualization. So we come back to the visualization of universe, but in this case, we don't use observation data as before, as the first part of Dökk, but we use simulation data. The choice to use this against the observed universe is because after an entire life, a person come back to see everything as a child, at the beginning of his life, but not exactly in the same way, because of everything he has experienced during his life. So we choose this metaphor because it was similar, come back to the beginning, but slightly different, slightly interpreted. And yes, here you can see an evolution of the universe that is not obviously recorded, because start 1.5 billion years ago to today. And you can see the difference that from a more uniform density of cluster on the left, this cluster become more defined and yes, less uniform. To create something, to create this simulation, we use Gadget 2, that is a tool from Max Planck Institute of Astrophysics, and we run on our server for 1 week the simulation. We make different simulation that is a collision between 2 galaxies, an example. Yes. It takes some days to calculate this kind of simulation. Then we go to an n-body simulation, that is the simulation of could be happen probably from the Big Bang to nowadays. It starts like something more uniform to something more clusterized. So with our simulation, we can record the movement of the particle that you has just seen, and create this line. And this line represent a velocity field that represent the movement of the stars of the galaxy during the time. Next, not happy. We use a simulation made by Virgo Consortium. That is a very big simulation that we can do with our server, and we take only one photography of this simulation, but we move the particle represented by this simulation with what we calculate in our simulation. Yes, what we want to obtain is something called Laniakea. Laniakea is a supercluster that is the home of our Milky Way, containing 100,000 galaxies. Laniakea means immense heaven in Hawaiian. And the ending particle vortex that you probably saw yesterday, dancing with Elena, represented this part of the work. This is a big. No, sorry, I don't know why. Okay, yes, this is the steps that we use. It's a steps simulation. And this is the same simulation moving and create what happened in the last part of Dökk. The particles create something more defined, less uniform. Here the same. Okay.
We still have some time. We don't. I've been told that we can still have some time. So if you have any question, this is your moment. Okay.
Hi. First of all, thank you so much for giving us that piece. It was amazing. I saw it last night. I was so sleepless, so it was better. It was so tense. Actually, I'm also working with a group called Mekan Space, and we work on virtual reality technologies, and I'm the performer. So I want to ask more about the performance to Elena, and because I was also, following your movements and your movement quality. I want to ask you, like, how did you work on your movement quality with that technology? Because sometimes when you act too fast, it's like the data is going so blurry or something like that. Or is this why that you were moving in staccato, like isolating the body? Because you have some kind of movements like very slow and very sudden. Is this because of the technology? Is this because of the data that you want to give? What happens if you dance too fast in that technology? Thank you.
So I think that with Dökk we use very good technology that can capture my movement, because in Lios we had working with only with Kinect. That there is a camera and have a 2D movement. But now we use another kind of technology with the sensor in my body, and I can dance very fast, and there is no problem with the technology. Yes, and I'm very free because I can dance very slowly, because in the room there is a slowly quality, and I don't know, in the fourth room I work with a quality very fast, or very yes, very broken, but I'm free because now the technology that work with me is very, very good for this. Only probably the problem is the space, because when I work with Kinect, we use Kinect and a sensor. And so when I work with Kinect, I have a little space, that I have an angle, and yeah, small angle, and so I know that I must dance in this part and not out of this part. But with the sensor it's very cool, because I can use the quality that I want, and the faster I can dance faster, and so.
Can I ask one more thing?
Yeah.
Quick. Because, so the whole time, the whole show you were using Kinect?
No. No, we have 1 or 2 room that we use Kinect, other room we use, the most room we use perception neuron, no? And in 2 or 3 rooms we mix perception neuron and Kinect, and we have Kinect in different part of the stage. We have Kinect in the first part to when I touch the screen, and the Kinect is down and can see me. And I have another Kinect in the back, and so it's difficult to explain now. Yes, but we have mixed the 2 kind of technology. And for me, it's better. Yes, because I have a 3D movement with the sensor. It's very better. Yeah, you're welcome.
Hello, my name is Alican. I saw all your visualization, data management is a huge thing. It's very great. But I'm also interested in music side. This all show is involving itself, so every show is unique. So how do you integrate all these parameters to the analog synthesizers? So it's the other side, and I didn't see anything about detailed as visualization side. Is that possible to explain? Involving synthesizer music patterns.
Okay. Yes, the sound part is played live with Ableton Live during the show, but it's more or less a mix of tracks. It's not really live, but in some obviously the interaction sound are live, like when Elena touched the screen. The hand movement, the explosion that she created are generated live with the Max MSP inside Ableton Live. All the soundtrack are created by Riccardo, our sound designer, starting from primitive sound and like metal balls collision. And starting from this primitive sound, he created the majority of the soundtrack. Yes, and the interactive part in room number 7, the motion tracking suite is used to send OSC message to Ableton Live, and there's a max MSP patch that take this value, the distance of the hands to the body at the angle, and create this sound modifying small samples, and create grain synthesis on this samples.
In the beginning of the presentation, you mentioned you are using 2 screens to create the 3D effect. So is it possible to use more than 2 screens to create a more immersive experience? Or is it not possible due to technical limitations, or is it a design choice?
It's a good idea. Maybe next show. No, it's it's something interesting. Probably difficult to create because to project on the front screen without avoid to go to project in the back screen, we need a minimum of distance between layers. And yes, if you have a big space like this, maybe you can do many layers. But the audience need to stay too far from the first. Yeah, it's not easy. 2 layers is good, more is difficult. But it's a good idea.
Hello, is this open? Cool. I was wondering about a question. So, in your show, and I've seen like, through your Instagram profiles, like all the stuff that you did actually. But to me, like you're doing like 3-dimensional stuff in almost explicitly in like 2-dimensional spaces, such as the stages also. So, would you consider doing like a like an amphitheatrical experience, maybe, like because the dancer would be just in front of and not at the center, and you know that could be like a more immersive experience for the audience or something like that. Did you consider something like this, or is this due to another technical issue, or is this a design choice also? Grazie.
Another good idea. We had I enjoyed we had some request or project work in progress, because we'll be contacted by the Berlin
Planetarium.
Yeah, planetarium. Sorry, planetarium. Because what you mean, I think, it's difficult because you need a place that you can put the dancer in the middle and have a 360 projection around there. But the planetarium could be the right place, and yeah, we are working on it. We don't create yet a project, a real project, but yeah, we have some concept document with a project to make something inside the planetarium. And I think this is next level, because you can feel people really immersed in a dome of projection. And yeah, the difficulty for us is to put the dancer in the middle, because usually planetarium has not space inside at the center to put the dancer. So yeah, probably we miss one step to create something like that.
And so what do you think that so you can see me in a 3D situation, but if you come with me on stage, I'm not a 3D situation, because I have a screen and another screen, and all is in my mind and in my imagination, because it's a very strange sensation if you stay inside. So for the moment, I think the best is that you stay in the other part, and when we have the real solution, you can try this strange experience.
Any more questions? I think that we don't have many time because yeah, they're gonna catch miss their flights. Thank you guys so much.